Hello, friends. Welcome to Empty Cloud Monastery. Sorry for the little delay. We had a bit of a technical uh, issue, but now it's solved, and we're here with Bhante Sumitta, who will be sharing some teachings of Dhamma on the 12 links of dependent origination. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to Bhante Sumitta so we can start.
Samantha Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Sadhang Mang Munirajas Sunangtu Sagga Mokkadang Dhamma savana kalo ayang bhadantha Dhamma savana kalo ayang bhadantha Dhamma savana kalo ayang bhadantha Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Vignanang anidassanang anantang sabbato padang Itta apocha pathavi tejo ayo nagadhati Itta dighang cha rasang cha anung tholang subha subhang Itta namang cha rupang cha asesang uparujjhati Vignanassa nirodhena ittetang uparujjhati Honor to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened One. My utmost respect to the perfectly enlightened Samma Sambuddha, the noble doctrine of the Buddha, and the noble Mahasangha, the disciples of the Buddha. Hello, dear Dhamma friends. Greetings and blessings to all of you. And thank you for joining us today with our last session of the Paticcasamuppada Dhamma talk series. I have shared the link of 33 Dhamma talks of Bhante Katukurunde Jnanananda. Again, it is in Sinhala. But the book that we have on the Dependent Origination, the English version, I noticed that it is the exact translation of the Sinhala version of Paticcasamuppada that the Bhante has given. So these 33 Dhamma talks actually have been given to as Ovada to some practicing monks, group of monks in the Forest Meditation Center. So if you are interested in, I recommend you watch this. And don't just watch like that. Just take a moment whenever you are free. Take a pen and book, and then start listening to that and learn like a lesson. Will be very helpful to many of you if you are following the Sinhala language. Maybe later on, for the benefit of the others, you can also translate into English. And that will be very helpful to many people in the world. So having said that, I would like to maybe start with the questions, but just maybe take a little bit, 10 minutes something, to start off with the topic that I mentioned this morning. Also, I mentioned about this Vignanang anidasanang anantang sabbato pabhang etha apocha pathavi tejo vayo nagadati etha dighancha rasancha anung thulang subha subhang etha namancha rupancha asesang uparujyati Vignanasa nirodhena ethetang uparujyati. This stanza will be very helpful to us also in understanding a very key point of this particular Samappada. So, Vignanang Anidasanang, consciousness which is non-manifestive. Anantang means endless, and Sabbato Pabhang, lustrous on all sides. Tejo, Vayo, Nagadhati. Here it is that water and earth, and Tejo means earth. The Tejo is the fire, Vayo is the air. Etha Apo cha Patavi. Apo means the earth, and Apo is the water, Patavi is the earth. Tejo is the fire, Vayo is the air. So Nagadhati means do not have any footing, no footing, fine. So here it is that water and earth, fire and air, no footing, fine. Here again, long and short. That means dighang, etha dighanchara sancha, long and short. Anung thulang subha subhang, subtle and gross, comely and ugly, subha and asubha. Etha namancha rupancha asesang uparujyati. Here the name and form, or materiality and mentality, or mentality or materiality. Asesang means without any trace, without any residue. Vignanasa nirodhena, by the cessation of vignana, the consciousness. Etha etang uparujyati, all these are held in check therein. So overall consciousness which is non-manifestive, endless, lustrous on all sides. Here it is that water and earth, fire and air, no footing find. Here again is long and short, subtle and gross, comely and ugly. Here is name as well as form, are held in check with no trace left, wherein consciousness comes to cease. All these are held in check therein. This is actually in response to a question by a monk that the Buddha gave this answer. It is said a monk, he was having a problem with this, and he actually was also a powerful monk. He already had some jhanic powers. So instead of going to the Buddha to ask the question about this, Katha apocha patavi, tejo vayo nagadati, Katha dighancha rasancha, anung thulang subha subhang, Katha namancha rupancha, asesang uparujyati. Where do water and earth, fire and air find no footing? Where do no long, short, subtle and gross, comely and ugly, and name and form get held in check with no trace left? That was the question that was going through this monk's mind. So instead of going to the Buddha, he actually already a powerful monk. What he did was he went to the celestial realm. He went to ask the devas, what is the answer to this question? Devas were like, we have no answer to that. They could not answer his question. Then they recommend, you better go to the Brahma realm. Maybe some of them could answer you. So he went to some of those Brahmas. Eventually he went to Mahabrahma. So there are many Brahma realms too. And Mahabrahma is a very powerful Brahma. And when the question was asked, he felt like kind of shy because he did not know the answer. Normally, it is like he knows everything and he's the all-knowing one, or kind of omniscient. And that was the impression that the other Brahmas had. And then what he did, like he took him to the side and he said, don't ask me this question. I don't have the answer. Why don't you go back to the Buddha, and he's there to answer your question. So finally the monk had to come back to the human realm, and then he asked the Buddha. And when he asked the question from the Buddha, the Buddha said, actually the question should be little different, not really the one that you went to ask. So the Buddha was answering the question, the question should be like, where do water and earth find air and no footing, and then the destruction or complete cessation, and how do we find not finding any footing there. And so there are these words that the Buddha was answering to this monk. And then he gave that answer, that wonderful answer to the monk. Like if you, the consciousness, when it is non-manifestive, and also the elements, the four elements, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, when they are not there is no trace of them, of the consciousness as well. So if we don't have these things, then there is no being actually. So nama rupa will be no more, and the consciousness will be no more. And when you have no nama rupa, then there will be no vinyana, right? And when there is no vinyana, and the other all the links will also be gone. I remember in another Dhammapada stanza, I remember Kyle was also asking a question related to that, like to the consciousness and vinyana, right? And you don't really know how to like absorb that question. um, like Ayu usmacha vinyanang yada kayang jahantiman apaviddo tadahaseti nirathangva kalinga. So Ayu means life, and Usma means the warmth, and then Ayu Usmacha Vinyana is the consciousness. So in our body, we do have these three things. And remember, when we don't have these things, if you don't have life, we can't survive. We will die. And then if you don't have warmth of the body, that means you will be gone through. And then if you don't have consciousness, again, the body will become just a dry log. Yada kayan jahantimang apaviddo tadaseti nirathangva kalingarang. So nirathangva kalingarang means useless dry stick. And like that, the body will fall down flat on the ground. So the function of the vinyana is very important here. Just imagine, like sometimes we see the sometimes like if there is a let's say in Spain, recently there was La Palma, right? There was a volcano eruption, and then after that those lava came flowing, and on the way so many houses and many boulders and all the other things, trees and grass and everything was burnt. And that is amazing, right? So when they meet each other, when they collapse each other, when they clash with each other, so let's say the fire comes and all those lava coming and contacting with those beautiful buildings, houses and all the properties, And do they get angry with each other? Do they get angry with each other? No, right? Why? Because they don't have consciousness. So they don't get angry with each other. And sometimes boulders also clash with each other. And why did you clash on me? Why did you hit me? And they don't really fight with each other. And they don't have that kind of a problem because they don't have consciousness. So in our case, like let's say like in busy New York subway or something, and lots of people walk here and there, and suddenly if you bump into someone, that will be a different story altogether, right? And why did you bump into me? And they will have some arguments, and then they will have some clash and fight, and many things could happen. And yeah, so that is because we have that consciousness. And also then our conceit and all the name and form and all these things will come into contact. And also like when you have the touch, contact means the touch, right? And then the body to body, and then you feel like it is unpleasant feeling, then Vedana. And then when you also have the Vedana, unpleasant Vedana, then you have Patiga, Sampasa, that is the ill will that comes to you. And then also the ego will also come in to help you. And so that develop, that will uh, fuel the fire, a raging fire in you, and many things could happen. And in the mind first, within flash, all these things happen within the mind, so many things going on, fighting, and then the anger, the ego, the ignorance, and all these things come together. And then you start using words full of anger, full of rage, you using word, and then you become restless. When you are restless again, you have no peace, no concentration, no samadhi. Definitely what you take, the decision making power will be zero level. So whatever you say will be really hurting each other too. And then that will lead to many, many problems. So that is why it is said this whole body, although we have the four elements, but we also have the consciousness here. And so like a baby, when it is born to a womb, if there is no consciousness, the baby will not survive, right? So the consciousness should be there. It is said gabha vakkanting, vinyana gabha vakkanting too. So the body will also have the vinyana. Yeah, so it's a little bit complicated thing, but it will happen. And when it happens, and it will become a being, a human being, and with all the links linking to each other. And this human being, this little baby, will start accumulating so many karma. At the very beginning, you don't see anything. You are alone. The baby is alone. Then you see you have the mother. Then you have the father. So you slowly getting into contact with them. And then you have other grandparents, other family members, friends and relatives. All they come close together, and you are in touch with them, the little baby. And then you start to think of having, this is me, this is my, and this is myself. And the baby will have the weapon. It is said the weapon of the baby is the cry, right? If he if he wants something, he will cry. And the weapon of the soldier is the weapon, yes, the gun. And the weapon of the many weapons. I remember there was a poem by Shakespeare something. Yeah, the weapon of the baby is the cry. So whenever he needs a toy, he will cry like anything, and he will make a big issue. So he knows how to manipulate. He already is very smart, even though very small baby. He or she knows how to even manipulate the parents and the other people around. Whenever he wants something, she wants something, they know exactly what to do. I remember like the stand here, the cat also knows how to how to get attention from people. Yeah, those are, I think, the way these little babies start to accumulate things. And the toys, for example, and if you give a toy to the baby, he will hold it so dearly. You don't want to share with anyone. Already, holding so firmly. And that grasping, that upadana is there. So, tanha, the contact, the craving, then the grasping, and you want it more and more. That is the existence. And then it will go to more and more jati and jara, and then the toy is broken, and then you feel suffering, you feel sad, and then you cry. All these, soka parideva dukkha domanasa, all these things happen. And then slowly you will also think, my family, my neighborhood, my country, my religion, all the my things will be there accumulating all throughout. And eventually you came alone, but then you have so many things. And then material things, and also other things. You have too much bag already packed in your bag, very heavy for you to travel. So that is why in Buddhism we also prescribe to practice a little bit of abhinikkamana, what do you call, renunciation. The monks also are practicing renunciation. Sometimes, once in a while, when you practice the eight precepts, it is a kind of renunciation, right? You renounce the evening dinner, vikala bhojana, for example, and also you renounce kamesu, like those sexual activities and other desires. All you try to control those things. That is the third precept when you practice eight precepts. And then also the other ornaments and beautification, all those things, you want to get rid of them too. Just for a while also you try to practice that renunciation. That renunciation is very important. Eventually you have to be tired of them, and you have to get rid of them once and for all, and then your renunciation become much more powerful. Eventually you can get rid of all those powerful marasenas. 10 marasenas, like kama te patama sena. Kama is the first battalion, first army that will come fight with you. You have to really fight with them. And then arati, and then the kuppipasa, like the thirst and the hunger. Those are also marasenas. Many defilements, actually, all mental defilements that the Buddha was fighting against, or the Arahantas were fighting against. And now also we have to be mindful. And if you have one tool in your toolbox, most important thing is the yoniso manasikara. Yeah, that mindful attention will be really helpful for you to get rid of many things. Like in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha mentions about how important it is for us to practice gate hite nisinne sutte jagarite sampajanakari hoti. Whenever you walk here and there, whenever you stand, when you sit, when you lay down, you have to be mindful. And asite pite khaite saite sampajanakari hoti. When you eat, when you drink, when you savor everything, you have to be mindful. And even uchara pasava kamme, when you defecate, when you urinate, you still have to be mindful. All the things, whenever you do whatever you do some actions in your life, you become mindful. And then bahasite, like when you talk, you have to be mindful. Even tunhi bhave, when you are silent, Also, you have to be mindful. I am silent now. You have to be mindful. And that mindfulness will be the savior of you, because that mindfulness will be the gardener, or what do you call, the gatekeeper. That gatekeeper will check in all the people, all the defilements that come in and out of your mind. And that way your mind can be very pure, because you will be able to freeze them. You can really use that as a metal detector when the defilements come in. So the unnecessary threatening, the defilements will not be able to come and settle in your mind. Yeah, so this is how we have to work. And then, as I mentioned again in the morning, Sila Samadhi Panya will be the gradual way to achieve the wisdom, the Panya. And then again, this Paticca Samuppada, the 12 links, you have to remember them one by one and try to work on them in different ways. And whichever link that you find comfortable to work on, you can work on. The other things will also be mutually helpful though. And yeah, that way you will be able to see the Paticca Samuppada, see the Dhamma. And when you see the Dhamma, you see the Paticca Samuppada. When you see the Paticca Samuppada, you will see the Dhamma. And that will be the end of our samsaric journey. Okay, so with that introduction, I'd like to go back to the questions.
Hannamayam Dhammakataya Sadhukaram Nadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami. Thank you, Bhante, for those words of Dhamma. So we have a few questions here, but I think also Kyle had his question from this morning. Should we start with that one?
Whichever.
Sure, if I still remember. So we have earth, wind, fire, water, and consciousness as elements, right? In Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
But as we were talking about this morning, how, it seems like ignorance is the conditions for ignorance. Is ignorance also not kind of like a feature of the universe, like consciousness?
I would say they are different links, but they are also connecting to each other. They help each other too. Like consciousness is one, like ignorance is another, but they are good friends. They contribute to each other's, growing each other together.
I mean, like consciousness. Sorry, ignorance. Is ignorance also like the universe? Without a discernible beginning.
Oh,
so that's another part of the question.
I think they are there. Ignorance is there. Yeah, these things are there. Whether the Buddhas appear in this world or not, all those things are there. Remember, we were chanting the Dhamma Niyamata Sutta today. So, Upadava Tathagatanang, Anupadava Tathagatanang. So that Dhamma Titata, Dhamma Niyamata, those things will be still there. And those things will be there, but the Buddha will, it is said the Buddha, Abhisambhujyati, Abhisameti, Abhisambhujjitva, Abhisametva, Achikkati, Panyapeti, Patpeti, Vivarati, Vibhajati, Uttani Karoti. So the Buddha will realize them, Buddha will understand them, and then he will proclaim to the world. We are so much deluded and eluded and ignorant, completely shut down from seeing this reality of the world because of that ignorance. But then again, we have to ourselves do something. If you don't make effort, we will be forever in the samsara, because the ignorance is so, there is no mercy when it comes to ignorance. Merciless ignorance will be there. The ignorance will love to have more sentient beings in the world. So ignorance will be there. It will be a part of the universe, but so is the others. So are the other wholesome elements too, right? Ignorant, and then again the wisdom. Remember the two niyamatas, the duality we have, the good and the bad, and wholesome and the unwholesome, merit and the demerit. Everything is there. That those duality, light and the darkness, wisdom and the ignorance, anger and the loving kindness, they are also there. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante. And then we have a question that was from Gita from the other day. Bhante, does that mean that even Nanagami or non-returners also have a very subtle attachment?
Anagami, Anagami definitely has subtle attachment. Because when it comes to Anagami, you don't have, when you become Sotapanna, you don't have Sakkaya Ditthi Vicikiccha Silabhata Paramasa. Yes. And also when you become Sakadagami, the gross fetters of Kamaraga Patika will be gone. And then the subtle elements of Anagami, like Kamaraga Patika, that is, those will be gone when you become Anagami. So that doesn't mean you have the other elements. Again, Ruparaga, Aruparaga, Mana, Uddhacha, Avijja, still there. So those defilements will definitely be there with the Anagami person. But if you become Sotapanna, there is a guarantee that your final destination is very close. That is the most important thing we need to remember. Sotapanna will be the most important opening for us if you want to attain the Nibbana. Yeah, Anagami is so close. So close. It's just a matter of time.
Sadhu. And another question is, with the complete cessation of all craving, there is the complete and utter cessation of birth/death, the entire round of suffering?
Yeah. So when you talk about this Nibbana, it is also called Amata. Amata means immortal, no death. And also actually Asankhata. Nibbana cannot be interpreted in conditioned or worldly even words. It is something that is also called Avedaita Sukha. That is not possible to comprehend with these worldly, mundane pleasures. It's not something like that. It is something completely unconditioned. So that Amata means no more death, because no more birth. When there is no birth, then there is no death, right? So when there is no birth, there is no decay, no sorrow, no sickness, no attachment, no craving, no everything, all the links will be gone when you become Nibbana. It is said sabbena sabbang, completely all forms of defilements will be gone when you attain the Arahantahod.
Thank you, Bhante. And Michelle asks, what is the difference between Vinyana and Chitta?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Chitta, Mana, Vinyana, there are three words that they always talk about. So Vinyana is consciousness. Vinyana means Vijanatiti Vinyana. So that means you recognize something. Let's say like you see something from the eye. So you recognize, okay, this is Kai, this is Ayasoma, this is Ayavimalanyani, this is a clock. We recognize that. So that recognition is what we call Vinyana.
Perception.
That is perception. So Vinyana is so Vinyana will be recognizing as the name. Perception is just the perception. But when you have Vinyana, it is specific recognition. We know that this is not a human, just like in the perception, it is just the human being. But in the Vinyana, you know exactly. We give you the name. This is Kyle. We know that. And somebody, let's say, like your mother calls you, and you recognize the voice. This is my mother's call, right? So you can recognize that you have that Vijanana Lakkana in the Vinyana. So that is about the Vinyana. When you talk about the Chitta, it is like the factory, and Chetasika is like the products that you produce through the factory. So they have almost like related, but little different functions too. For example, the mana, if you talk about mana, mano pubbangama dhamma, mana is the leading, the forerunner of all states. Whether we do good or bad, mind is the preceding factor. So mind comes first. And so that way mind also plays a very big role in our sansaric existence. So Chitta, Mana, Vinyana, they are interrelated for sure, but they have subtle varieties too.
Thank you, Bhante. And I don't know if this is related, but maybe you can decide, Bhante. Actually, it's not. Is there any meaning behind different hand mudras of Buddha statues? Maybe this is more for monk chat.
Maybe monk chat.
Yes.
Yeah. You can see a mudra over there, I think, in the back. That is it like Dhammachakkamutta or what? Yeah. So it is the untying the knot. If this is like that, you are untying the knot. So those mudras are actually just the artist's creations. So like when you practice, like this is the Samadhi mudra, and this is the Abhaya mudra, this is the Dhammachakka mudra, all those mudras are there. But yeah, we can talk more about that on Friday.
Okay, here is a question. Kumu says, Bhante, Vinyana is the most powerful part of a being, it seems. What kind of energy drives the Vinyana or behind it? When it leaves the body to be not disintegrated, it has to be something powerful?
So do you share that question here too? Yeah,
Yes.
I think Vinyana is definitely a very powerful factor, powerful link here. Because without Vinyana, many of the other things cannot be done. Like it also is related to Salayatana. It is related to the consciousness, and then it is related to contact. It is related to Namarupa. You can see how overwhelming, overarching connectivity of the Vinyana with all of them. And yeah, so I think it is really important if we have This is a different question. Is that a different question? Does that mean
that's the
even
one.
anagami non-returners have a subtle attachment?
You
Is
might
that
be seeing a different screen.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me check.
That is from
Maybe.
the
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe that one got that question later on. Yeah, Vinyana is very powerful, and yeah, kind of energy that has behind this thing. Like if you go through the Paticca Samuppada, avidya pacaya sankhara, sankhara pacaya vinyana. So we know the factors behind, the energy behind this avidya and also the sankhara. And then all the others also, as I mentioned, they are a team. Okay, they work as a team. They have different portfolios, yes, but when it comes to a teamwork, they all get together. They are really good friends, and they help each other. But one way is of getting rid of this is that mindfulness, that mindful attention, yoniso manasikara. This is an important thing. And as a practice, sila, samadhi, and panya, these things will be very helpful. So continuously we have to work on these things. And just like the rip current, as I mentioned this morning, we are all trapped in this whirlpool, and we have to, if we don't make an effort, you will ever be floating in the samsara, in the ocean. You will never be able to come out of this. And only if you make some effort, only a skillful swimmer will be able to get rid of that rip current. So it is important. And also, like as Bhante Katukurunde Nyanandananda Nayaka Thero, he mentioned, because of the swiftness of the whirlpool, the vortex, we can get rid of too. It happens because we have been in the samsara for too long, and somehow, somewhere, we don't get tired of it. So somehow we need to get tired of it. That nibbida, or the what we call getting rid, like you are tired of it. That is important for us to, that renunciation thing is important for us to get rid of that. I have to get rid of that, otherwise I will not be able to get rid of all this suffering. That, like the dog simile, as I mentioned this morning too. The dog will look at the water and see in his own reflection. He thinks there is a dog. He thinks this is another dog. And same thing, we watch a movie, we think there are real people over there. At least for that time. If you don't see that, actually you cannot enjoy the movie, right? You think, oh, this is the empty wall. I know this is the empty wall. I know the projector is working, and this is like some actors, they are doing acting according to the producer and the director. Okay, this is, I know these things. But then if you don't, you have that understanding, that reality, then you won't enjoy the movie anymore. You don't want to go to the movie theater, right? Same thing when you go to the mirror, you see the mirror, and you see there is someone. Look at this, Kyle is in front of you. So you think that is you. You definitely think that is you, and you don't think that is Ayasoma or Manjani or this and that. That is you, you think. But that is not you. So only when we realize that, that is not me, and then you have to, this is just the reflection. This is not true. This is just my own fabrication. And that way you will be, one day you will be able to realize. Maybe looking at the mirror will open the Dhammachakku for you one day. Now, all these things are actually signs of opening the, while watching the movie, you can become Sotapanna. While looking at the mirror, you can become Sotapanna. While swimming, you can become Sotapanna. You never know how it happens. So keep working on it. Yeah, being mindful and working on that. So that will help. And also, like reading some of the suttas and meditating immediately after really helps. Yeah. So different ways we can practice, and for different people, it has worked differently.
Thank you, Bhante. And Sam asks, the links seems to pachaya in every direction. For example, passa pachaya tanha, upadana pachaya sankara. Can we see it that way?
Yeah, pachaya means conditions, right? So it is said like avidya pachaya sankara. Because of avidya, sankara happens. Sankara pachaya vinyana. I feel a little more comfortable with the Pali, sorry about that. So sankhara pachaya vinyana. Because of the sankhara, vinyana occurs. Vinyana pachaya nama rupang. Vinyana is condition for nama rupa. And then nama rupa pachaya salayatana. When you have nama and the rupa, definitely the salayatana is there. So the chakku, sota, gana, jivha, kaya, mana, those 6 sense doors, they are working. And then salayatana, because of those, we have the phassa, the contact. Through them we have the contact. And then phassa pachaya vedana, through the contact we have the feeling, right? Good, bad, feeling, pleasant, unpleasant. Those feelings are there. That vedana is there because of the contact. And vedana pachaya tanha, and that vedana, that feeling actually generates tanha. As I mentioned, this is the 2 sides of the coin. Although it is tanha, it can also be patiga. Ill will and craving, both they are like 2 sides of the same coin. So tanha pachya upadana, and then we have the grasping thing. We like it and then we grasp. We don't like it, then we hate. That we have the ill will if we don't like it. So both ways, what do we do? When you judge, when you react to that situation, you create karma. So when you create karma, there is no way out. You will continue to survive in this samsara, and then existence will be there, and then the jati, the birth after this, and then with the birth, all the other related sufferings in the world will be there, and it will continue to happen until we cease to make an effort, conscious effort, to get rid of that situation.
Thank you very much, Bhante. And Jess asks, can you explain a little more what happens between clinging and becoming?
Yes, so I think also it is related to attachment, like craving. When you have tanha, you have the upadana. So also it is related to panchakanda, the 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregates become pancha upadana kanda for the mundane people, like for us. But for the arahanta person, he also has the eye. He sees the rupa. Okay, he sees the form, but he doesn't create any karma. Why? Because he has already got rid of the defilement. He doesn't have any more karma creating. It is called abhabhupattika. He doesn't have the potential to create any more birth. That abhabhupattika thing is there in the arahanta person. But for us, whenever we have, we see the form, we hear the sound, we taste the food, or we smell something, and then we already react to that situation with either lobha, greed, dosa, ill will, or moha, ignorance. So through these we react to that situation, then it will be karmic formation for us, and that will be samsaric existence for us. So that one is uh, the craving. And then when you have craving, you grasp it. You think you want it, you won't hold it. Just like the small kids case, if you give a toy to a small kid, he or she will hold it very dearly. He or she will not give it to even to their parents. Don't want to give it, they will cry. So that clinging, and then you want it for a longer time. The toy is the good example. And what happens at the beginning, the kid uses it every time he or she plays with that. After a while, what happens? You think the kid will have it for forever? No, right? He or she will be tired of this and get rid of it. So that clinging and becoming, you see, that clinging and then that desire, that craving, that grasping is there for a while for the kid. But maybe for us, we also have those like compartmentalized clinging is there in our life. Plus, we also have that overarching clinging to our life in general, to things in general we have. That will be actually leading to the birth. So those compartmentalized clinging like will be temporary existences. But when you have the overarching general complete overview of the existence, that clinging will lead us to the becoming of and then followed by the birth.
Thank you, Bhante. And Sam asks, is karma has the same meaning to sankhara? Do we create good karma or create no karma?
Yes, that's actually more related to the sankhara karma, because karma can be like sankhara, kusalabi sankhara, akusalabi sankhara, ananjabi sankhara. There are three kinds of sankharas. So kusala is the wholesome karma, right? By the body or the verbal actions or the mental actions, you create karma. These are the three sense doors that you actually create karma. And when you have good karma or the bad karma, so depends on how you work on those kusala akusala things, wholesome unwholesome things. You create good or bad karma. Aninjabi Sankhara is something to do with your jhanic attainments and samadhi, samapatis. Then you are actually doing even more powerful abhisankhara, but still karma. And you have to get rid of them too when you want to attain the nibbana. Yeah, good karma. And no karma means like, as I mentioned before, like arahatta phala samadhi, where you have that sunyata, animitta, apanihita, that animitta samadhi, or you don't have any cetasikas, any thoughts. That way, I think those arhantas, they can easily come to that, like Nirodha Samapatti, for example. Also, like they don't even want food for a week. When you are in the Nirodha Samapatti, completely you can get rid of this thing. Once it is said, Venerable Sariputta was meditating in Nirodha Samapatti, and a yakka, a demon, he was passing by. He was knocking on the head of the Venerable Sariputta, right? And Venerable Muggallana asked, "Did you hear that? Did you feel something like?" Venerable Sariputta said, I felt like pinching sensation, a little bit like a mosquito bite, but that was it. because he was in complete samadhi that time. So there are many stories about the Nirodha Samapatti stages too, where those monks, the Buddhas, the Pacceka Buddhas, the Arhantas can go to Nirodha Samapatti and don't even have food. They can survive without anything. So one way of practicing these things actually, Akasanan Chayatana, Vinyana Chayatana, they are kind of getting closer to those like thoughtless samadhis. Yeah, if you can try, I recommend sometimes in life you do these things, like when you go to bed, for example, don't do anything, just lay down, and just looking at things, or just not think anything. Try not to think anything. Sometimes you hear I recommend here in this empty cloud in the back porch. That is a beautiful sight you have. So look at the sky and look at this greenery, and then in between you keep your mind and not think of anything, not about the past, not about the future, not about the just stay in the present can be really helpful. So the Buddha actually said in another gatha, I remember, he said, this is something related to a monk who was a magician, a circuit, what do you call, circus man. He was like on top of a rope. I think I have seen some people practicing like adventurous rope dancing on top of something, and down below like water or something. They are very amazing, right? So much bravery, so much mindfulness you need to have. One day actually Buddha gave that circus man good piece of advice. He knew exactly this is easier for him to advise him. That way Buddha said, now you are on top of it. If you fall, you will die. So first thing you need to do is forget about your past. Don't think of the past. And next is don't think of the future. And now don't think of the present too. So leave out all layers and layers. No past, no future, no present. So even the present will be gone later on. And it is said he actually attained arahanthood there on the top. And later he descended and prayed to the Buddha, bowed to the Buddha, and he became a disciple of the Buddha. So yeah, somehow we have to also practice that no action thing, and minimalist lifestyle, like no thought practice sometimes can be really helpful. This doesn't happen if you are very busy. If you are busy, too many things to do in your life, you cannot do that. You have to be very simple lifestyle. You have so much time, then it is possible for you to practice these things.
Great, thank you, Bhante. And ABC says, Bhante
The news channel.
Bhante, Bhava Pachaya Jati. Before Jati, we can be whatever entity.
Bhava Pachaya Jati. Yeah, before that we can be whatever entity. Whatever entity in the sense like you cannot be a rock or a tree because they don't have consciousness. I remember someone was asking about this thing too. Can consciousness be there? Like, are they also sentient beings? No, they are not sentient beings actually. But yes, as human beings or other animals or devas, brahmas, yeah, there can be any entity before that. And before bhava, let's say like you are a human being right now, and that will be your bhava, right? and we will be born as another jati. You will be maybe an animal. You will be a deva. You will be a brahma. So that can change. Or you will be born as the same human being in the same human realm. That can be there too. I think in response to Bhante Sudaso's question this morning, he was also asking about the bhava and jati. This can also be related a little bit to that. So prior to the jati, you will have that bhava, and then jati will be a different existence.
Great, thank you, Bhante. And that was the last question online for now. Kyle, you always have lots of different questions.
No, it's okay.
Don't be shy. Whenever we switch off the live stream, then Kyle has many questions.
Yes, I
They
know.
arise.
I know. I think it is way better we ask those questions online, so maybe the other people will be benefited too. In the Chulla Kamma Vibhanga Sutta, the Buddha said, one way of improving your wisdom is to ask questions. Now that's really important. Like people ask questions. Sometimes people like, I don't have any question, and later you have questions, and you don't know how to ask questions. I remember, like when we were teaching in our school, for my students, I start with the question, how to make questions. That is how I because they don't ask questions in the Q&A session, all quiet. So I asked them, I trained them to ask questions, how to create questions.
So I have a question. So Bhante, I read the essay by Ajahn Brahm that you recommended.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in it, Ajahn Brahm makes the argument that the Buddha is unequivocally talking about, you know, the sort of, I think, the 3 lifetime, you know, model, and also unequivocally talking about consciousness descending into a womb, and it seems to me that there would be lots, thousands, maybe millions of pasas, contacts in a lifetime, but surely not all of those can result in a new, you know, human baby or a deva, you know, the moment to moment, you know, of a, you know, the Kyle of an hour ago is not the same as the Kyle of now, right? Like that's almost a new being because of not self. So I haven't formulated this into a question very well, but do you understand the dilemma? You know, how can these thousands of contacts end up in?
Yeah, that is actually the Patisandhi Chitta. Patisandhi Chitta is the relinking consciousness. So that relinking consciousness is actually related to that going to the womb. That is the first one. And the Chuti Chitta is the last consciousness that one can have. And the relinking Patisandhi is the first one. Immediately after birth, you have that. So they are the following. Yes, millions and millions of thoughts, millions and millions of consciousness can be there through these. Like how many consciousness we had already, right? When you talk, when you think, when you work, you look here and there. Through your eye, through your ear, through your nose, through your tongue, through your body, through your mind, millions and millions of thoughts are produced. Yes, but the linking, that relinking one is called Patisandhi Chitta, and the Chuti Chitta, they are different things.
It's two different processes. Or the process that only occurs.
Like we have millions of them, and the last one is the Chuti Chitta, and the first one is the relinking Chitta. That one is really important too, because depending on how you think, and that depending on the last thought, your next jati will be determined. Yeah, that your next jati will be, next birth will be determined on your Chuti Chitta. Sometimes, like, let's say, like you are into meditation and you practice meditation, anapanasati or something. That way you feel so peaceful even at your death, you know. So your relinking chitta can be really very wholesome. Let's say like you are very sick and you are suffering, and then you have sadness, you have sorrow, you have pain, you don't know so how to cope up with that. You always anguish, desperate, despair, all the stressful things come to you, and the other people cry around, and then you also feel even more stressful. And in your deathbed, if you have these things, that will be little bit tricky for you. So in such a case, you have to be really careful too. Yeah. So those people's relinking chitta and the chuti chitta can be little bit dark, little bit murky. So only if you are very peaceful. Also, the karma that you have done before can be helpful. Let's say, like, there are 5 grave offenses that you do. In one can do, like, if you do any of those things, like what do you call matughataka, like you kill your mother, you kill your father, or you uh, created a schism in the sangha, or you shed the blood of a Buddha, or you kill an arahanta. Those are the 5 grave offenses, and that will be unpardonable. You will definitely be born in the hell realm. Other than that, if you have jhana, those are the positive side. And if you have jhana, you will be definitely born in the Brahma realm. Other than that, the other karma will be depending on, like, remember those people who come to the temple, like Maki and Kate and Sudha, all those people, they bring dana all the time. So you constantly do some dana. Okay. So they are called achina karma. You continuously do these things. And those achina karmas, if you don't have those garuka karmas, like those heavy good or bad karmas, achina karma will be there to help you at the chuti chitta. And that will be really important too. So also, if you don't have those achina karma, there may be the asana karma, means the karma in close proximity. Like you haven't done so much good things in your life, but somewhere luckily you did something really good just before your death. Remember the story of Mata Kundali? Mata Kundali didn't have much time to do many good things. But when at his deathbed, Buddha was there to help him, rescue him. And out of compassion for him, he went there, and he was so super sick, just about to die. And then Buddha, he was facing towards the wall when the Buddha came. Outside is his house. And then the Buddha came, sent a radiation of light, and he saw that light, and he turned, he saw the Buddha. His heart was so full of happiness by seeing the Buddha, who was so compassionate and who full of loving kindness towards him. With that happiness, he died. He was born in the heavenly realm. Those are the things that can happen to people. In the case of Manduka, Devaputta, also the same. Manduka was a frog, and it is said like he was listening to a Dhamma talk. like like Stan is like sometime meditating with us, right? And he doesn't like, somehow he likes the meditation. He's also very quiet. Sometimes he makes some snoring sounds, yes, but sometimes I notice that he feels more peaceful when we meditate. So he doesn't disturb much. He has that sound. Sometimes looks like he is so comfortable with that. And maybe those are the things that if they die with that, their next birth would be good. Yeah, it can be helpful. So all of us, we have to think of those things like Garuka Kamma, Asanna Kamma, Achinna Kamma. Katatta Kamma is called the Kamma that we do in day-to-day life. Those things will be helpful to us in the course of our samsara. And Ditta Dhamma Vedaniya Kamma is said to be the Kamma that can produce result in this birth. And the Aparapariya Upapajja Vedaniya Kamma will be the Kamma that produce result in the birth immediately after death. And then the Aparapariya Vedaniya Kamma will be the Kamma that produce results for the rest of your samsara. So some of those things can be there, like good or bad Kamma will be there, resulting like giving good or bad results to us. Sometimes it is really important that we don't create conditions for all the unwholesome karma in the past to come and torture us. One way of doing things, for example, I would like to say, if you want to practice this thing, don't get angry. Don't get angry. And okay, I don't get angry. No matter what happens, I don't get angry. Just keep, I don't feel bothered if someone tries to make me angry. Try to share the loving kindness to everyone around. And that way you do not create the condition for the unwholesome karma in the past to torture you. So the person who is practicing loving kindness will have the opportunity to the luxury to have that peace, inner peace all the time. I think that way, your samsara can be really very more comfortable than, of course, it's not like the Nibbana, but at least on the way towards your samsaric ending, practicing loving kindness, practicing generosity, those things can be really helpful.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Bhante. Well, this is the end of the 3-class series on Dependent Origination offered by Bhante Sumitta, but he will be still for a few, months actually, here at Empty Cloud Monastery. So there will be definitely more talks coming soon. Tomorrow morning, we will be meeting again at 8 a.m. New York City time for Sutta study. And in the evening, there will be monk chat. So any questions that you forgot to ask Bhante Sumitta tonight or that were off topic so that we didn't ask them, you can bring them tomorrow there will be a panel of monastics here. And if you're around the monastery in the New Jersey area, on Saturday at 6 p.m., we have our meditation and Dhamma discussion on the lawn. And on Sunday afternoon from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., we'll have an afternoon of mindfulness. All right, so looking forward to seeing you all. And I'll pass it on to Bhante to close the evening.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. These 3 Dhamma talks hopefully will give you a glimpse of what the Paticcasamuppada is all about. And I hope, I'm sure I'm not really well qualified to give that profundity, that length and breadth of all the questions that you had. And I don't know if I also provided you satisfactory answer to your questions, but I think like even asking questions, you yourself will have some wholesome thought. And also by listening to this series of Dhamma talks, I recommend you watch all the 3 one by one, so that maybe it will be more helpful. And learning about this Paticcasamuppada will be the key to our sansaric ending I hope this will be helpful to all of you. And I also sincerely wish everyone, may you be able to attain the Sotapanna as soon as possible. And with that good intention, we would like to conclude today. And by the power of all the good deeds that we have done today and also during the lifetime, during the whole course of our samsara, we have generated so much good karma. And by the power of all those dana, sila, bhavana, wonderful meritorious activities, may we be able to be blessed in our life, and may you be well, happy, healthy, safe wherever you are. May you and your family members, your loved ones, your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your children, everyone in your family, everyone in your teachers, elders, and all the neighborhood, everyone in your country, and everyone in the world be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem. May you all be well, happy, healthy, safe wherever you are. Also would like to invoke blessings of our wonderful monastic community. May you and your monastic community, your temple community, also be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem, by all the Devas and Brahmas and all the wonderful Kalyana Mitta friends. And I also would like to sincerely express my gratitude to the Empty Cloud Buddhist Monastery for providing this opportunity to discuss about these Dhamma talks all the time. And really sincerely wish and all of you be benefited, and may this temple, may this monastery be a flourishing ground for Buddhism, and may many people be benefited by this wonderful act of Dhamma over here at the Empty Cloud Buddhist Monastery. So may all of us and all of them and all sentient beings, including Devas, Brahmas, and everyone in the world be blessed by the Noble Triple Gem. And may all of us and all of them, including our departed ones, be well, happy, healthy, safe wherever they are. May we all be able to live our life peacefully, comfortably, with good health. May all of us be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, the absolute peace and happiness at the end of our samsara. Thinking thus, please keep your palms together close to your heart and say 3 times, Sadhu,
Sadhu,
Sadhu, Sadhu. Let us transfer merits to all the Devas and other beings first. I forgot to mention actually why we do. I always start with some Pali chanting. Maybe you were wondering why I do that. Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata and all. That's actually a traditional inviting to the Devas to listen to the Dhamma talk. So when we continue to do this, maybe some of the Devas might be able to listen to Dhamma talks too. And also when we transfer merits, whenever we do a good karma, we should be able to share that merit with all the Devas first, and all the other sentient beings too. And later on, we also should be kind and compassionate to our own departed ones. There can be so many ancestors, so many departed ones waiting and needing our help. So if we share the merits, they might be benefited. So thinking thus, we always need to transfer merits to all of them too. So with that good intention, let us transfer merits to Devas, Brahmas, and all the other sentient beings. May they receive this merit, share this merit, be well, happy, healthy, safe wherever they are. Thinking thus, let us recite this Pali stanza together. Ittavata hehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva अनुमोदन्तु සම්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා එත්තාවතා ච අම්හෙහි සම්භතං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ භූතානුමෝදන්තු සම්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා එත්තාවතා ච අම්හෙහි සම්භතං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ සත්තානුමෝදන්තු සම්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා. Let us transfer merits to all the departed ones. Please think of all the departed ones, maybe known and unknown, near and far. Maybe there are so many innumerable ancestors that we have waiting to receive the merits. If they are ready to receive this merit, let us be so kind and generous and compassionate towards all of them. May they all receive this merit, be well, happy, healthy, safe, wherever they are. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Thinking thus, let us transfer merits to all the departed ones. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhetā hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhetā hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukhetā hontu ñātayo. Let us also aspire for Kalyana Mitta friends in our life all throughout our samsara until we attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. They are so important to all of us. They can lead us, guide us towards the right path all the time. So, thinking thus, let us aspire for the Kalyana Mitta friends. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Finally, by the power of all the merits, all the practices, may we all be able to live according to the Dhamma, close to the Dhamma, in association with wonderful Kalyana Mitta friends, and eventually may all of us be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Thinking thus, let us recite this. Idang me punyang asavakkayāvahang hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu sabba bhaya pamuncatu sabba roga pamuncatu. Sadhu, sadhu,